Alright everyone, Mrs. Swanson here. Today's lesson is going to be comparing and ordering integers. Now we'll have some guest speakers explaining some vocab words we'll need to know for this lesson.
Integer are a set of positive whole numbers and their opposites.
Opposites, two numbers the same distance from zero.
So when we think about opposites, we need to think of a number line. Here let's focus on the number 3. So the number 3 is 1, 2, 3 units away from 0 here in the middle. So the opposite will also be 3 units away from 0, but we're going the opposite direction. So here we have -1, -2, -3. So the opposite of 3 is -3. Pause the video and see if you can find the opposites of these numbers. If you haven't yet noticed, finding the opposite is the same thing as changing the sign. So here, instead of -8, this changes to a +8. 13, the opposite of that, we change our sign to a -13. So 22, the opposite of -22 is a +22. Let's talk about absolute value. Absolute value is the distance from 0. Finding absolute value, you're always going to have a positive number. And that's because of this rule right here. Distance can never be negative. If you see a problem like this, it's asking you to find the absolute value of -3. These little bars on the side are the symbols for absolute value. Using the definition of absolute value, the distance from 0, we know that -3 is 1, 2, 3 positions away from the 0. So the absolute value of -3 is 3. Remember, it will always be a positive number here. If we wanted to find the absolute value of 3, a lot of people think, oh, I just have to change the sign back to a negative. That is not the case. Distance can never be negative. We're still finding the same solution here, which is trying to find how far away is 3 from 0. So we count 1, 2, 3 positions. Therefore, the absolute value of 3 is 3. Go ahead and pause the video, try these on your own, and play when you're ready to check your answers. The absolute value of -8 is 8 because it's 8 units away from 0. The absolute value of 22 is 22. Remember, our answers are always positive. I wrote some symbols here that we can use when comparing integers. The first one is the less than sign. So I could write 2 is less than 4. The next, the greater than. Using the same numbers, 4 is greater than 2. Now you might have thought of these as little alligator mouths before. I'll draw some teeth in. And you think the alligator is always hungriest for the bigger number. So his mouth is always open to the number that's bigger. That's a good way that I've always used to remember which way those signs should go. The last is the equal sign. So the number on the equal sign, on either end of the equal sign will always be the same. 4 equals 4. You can always reference a number line to figure these types of problems out also. Comparing integers can get tricky once you have negative numbers, but try to think of money. Would I rather be in debt by $8 or in debt by $2? So would I rather owe you 8 or owe you 2? Go ahead and try this one out, pause the video, and see if you can get the right sign in there. You should have added the less than sign. -8 is less than -2. When ordering integers, a number line is a good tool to use. Just know that the negative numbers are always going to be on the left side of 0 and positive numbers always on the right. If I wanted to order these integers shown above, I would simply put a dot where it goes. So I have 3 right here, -1 over here, and 2 right here. Just like anything, like reading a book, you read from left to right. Same thing here. These numbers go from left to right, smallest over here and biggest over here. So if I was putting these in order, I would have -1, 2, and 3. Pause the video and order these numbers from least to greatest. Go ahead and press play when you're ready to check your work. Let's review the key points from this lesson. Number 1, finding the opposite of any number, you just change it from positive to negative or negative to positive. Number 2, absolute value, you're finding the distance from 0, and distance is always positive. So if it's a negative number in your absolute value, you just change that to a positive. If it's a positive number, stays positive. We compare numbers using the greater than, less than, or equal sign. And when we order numbers from least to greatest, we go from left to right on the number line. That's all for this lesson. Thanks for studying with Swanson.